Everybody, welcome to the FiveStack. I'm Dean in an airport. That's Zev in his studio. And we have some big things to get to. But first of all, like I do most days, I need to come with some bouquets, not bricks. That man sitting across from me right now on the screen is number two in Rising News.
Well,
You.
that's very nice of you to notice that. Thanks,
Mm-hmm,
Dean. Thanks for mentioning that.
mm-hmm,
Really
mm-hmm.
pleased about
Do you,
that.
but do you know why? Number two
Why
in
am I number
Rising News?
two in breaking news, in news, in
Because you
rising
didn't
news?
give up. Because you did not give up.
Well,
10
of
years ago
course.
when you started covering the Epstein shit and Trump and Russia and Steve Effenberg and the Maxwells. I mean, my God, it's Zeb time, baby. It's Zeb time. You are crushing it right now.
Well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate everyone who supports narrative. I mean, everyone's so great to have subscribed, and people are following the story, and it's amazing that they're doing it. They're obviously a very smart audience, very tasteful. They know what they like, and we do some big work on narrative, and I'm thrilled that we're number two. Got to get to number one now. Sorry, Mr.
Yeah,
Barnhurst.
yeah. What are you doing? Why aren't you
Yeah,
number one?
I
Let's talk
know,
about that
right?
for a second. But we need to get to the FiveStack. So, really grateful to be doing
Yeah.
this with you again today, ladies and gentlemen. Go and subscribe to nerd.org. Do it, do it, do it, do it right
Who would have
now. And
thunk
we'll
when?
wait for a couple people to get in
Yeah,
here. Who'd have thunk what? Who'd have
when we
thunk what?
started this podcast, what, like 2-3 months ago, that we would
Yeah,
both be in the top 10 of our categories. I mean, that's kind of cool. Kind of
I
cool.
knew it.
You knew it. You did actually know it. You did say it. You'd say, "Yeah, this is going to be a hit."
It's
That
gonna
was
be huge.
yeah,
No, I
yeah.
didn't. We just show up and we continue to do the job. We continue to inform people, but you're being rewarded for 10 years of sticking with it. So congratulations on being number two in news.
We
And let's
own. Yeah, sorry.
go ahead. We own what?
I said we only have 25 minutes, so we should get to it because I've got
Yeah.
so much news to cover, and we can talk about us later on. Coming up at 5, by the way, Vicky Ward and I are going to talk about Epstein. So it's going to be really, really interesting. Yeah, I love her too. She's amazing. So, and the number 5 story is all about what's happening in Alaska, and it's not what you think. Alaska faces its worst glacial outburst flood on record, with 17 billion gallons of water threatening 14,000 Juneau residents, while President Trump prepares to meet with Vladimir Putin, where he's meeting him at Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson in Anchorage because they couldn't find anywhere else to meet. This will happen on Friday. Somebody's already downplaying. He's now said that there'll be a much more important meeting later on when he does a 3-way meeting with Zelensky and Putin. So this big deal that they were promising for Friday, it's being drowned out by a big major flood event in Anchorage, which is kind of funny. I'm sure Putin will want to spend exactly 30 seconds on a U.S. Air Force base before wanting to get out of there. So they're just doing it for optics, and it'll be a day trip, basically.
It's a distraction. I mean, folks, this is not a summit. It's a distraction. This is ammunition for Vladimir Putin to go back to Russia with, to be able to tell his people that he took Donald Trump to task. They're going to
Yeah.
take Alaska back, and look at us. We're back on the scene. Sanctions, smanctions. We're going. I mean, this summit on Friday, barring the flood, which is hilarious, is also happening at the Air Force Base instead of anywhere in Anchorage, anywhere in Alaska, any boardroom, any meeting room, any secure location. Do you know why? Because I do. I'll talk
Because
to
he's
a
a war
couple of people
criminal,
today.
and they don't really want him wandering around the United States outside of an Air Force base because they need to keep eye on him because he's a war criminal, and we're fighting a war against him.
Bingo. He is a war criminal. Vladimir Putin is scared to death of being arrested. He is scared to death of coming here. He is scared to death of getting taken out. This is the same guy, and we've talked about this, that has a gentleman that walks around with him with a suitcase that
Yeah.
collects his poop after he goes poop in the toilet. He scoops it out with a ladle, puts it in a bag, puts it in a suitcase because he doesn't want anybody knowing about his health conditions because he's that weird. He's that paranoid.
He's
He's
weird.
that messed
He's
in
weird.
the head. He's totally weird. He's 100% weird.
Yeah.
But what really scares him is going into a population in North America. What really scares him, and I talked to somebody today, you could say they're a White House insider. You could say they still know people in the White House because they do.
Mm.
And they said, listen, not only does Vladimir Putin petrified of going into Anchorage, Alaska, or any community in Alaska, or having this, there isn't a single venue in that state that will take him. There isn't a single venue in Alaska that's like, we'll take Donald Trump. And you know what? The Trump administration was hilarious. The Trump regime was like, well, it's high season for tourists, so it's really hard to I know, a boardroom. That was
Really?
today,
Really?
dude.
It's that
Yeah.
hard to find a place for the leader of one of the world's biggest countries to stay? Maybe because there's a flood, maybe the glacier water levels and all that is such an emergency that they do actually
Oh,
have
that's just
hotels.
what they said. Yes, there's a flood. But here's the other thing
Yeah,
is they're going to land at the Air Force Base, meaning
yeah,
Vladimir Putin's landing at the Air Force Base. They're conducting this at the Air Force Base because the people of Alaska, the smart people of Alaska, the
yeah.
democracy lovers of Alaska, the non-Trumpian maggots, the non-maggots of Alaska, have all started to purchase Ukrainian flags.
Oh, really?
And the goal was, yeah, yeah. The goal was to fly these
Well
Ukrainian
done,
flags
Alaska.
on whatever travel route that genocidal, disgusting, dictatorial prick was going to be traveling towards any location. So the people of Alaska, like I don't remember the number. It's something like Ukrainian, like 12,000 Ukrainian flags were ordered to the state of Alaska
I
this
love
last
that.
week.
I
Yeah,
don't
it's
think he's going to
incredible.
step foot off his plane, Putin. I think he's going to stay on his plane. I think Trump will get off the Air Force One on the tarmac, go to Putin, talk to him for a few seconds on the plane, and that'll be it. That he won't actually step foot on U.S. soil, because I can't see him doing this thing at an Air Force base. This is Mr. Palaces and fancy, and he's going to be in an Air Force base, an American Air Force base, which is not exactly luxury accommodations, So unless I don't know, they're going to have a hard time with optics on this one. This is not going to seem very strong-manny to anybody at all. So it'll be really interesting to see what they come up with to make this look like a bigger deal than it
Yeah,
is.
yeah. A couple of strongmen, right? They're
Yeah,
hiding in an Air Force base to
yeah,
hold a global summit
yeah.
over carving up Ukraine. These are two pricks, losers, pussies that are hiding in an Air Force
We're
base
scared
because
of
they're both
Alaskans.
afraid.
We're scared of Alaskans. Those Alaskans are going to come and get us. Oh, it's so true. It's so true. Such a
Yeah.
misstep by them. Anyhow, the other part of the story, of course, is the fact that there's, real things that are going to be discussed, including, land possibly being traded between Ukraine and Russia, or so they say. Now, European leaders emerged from this is the number 4 story. European leaders emerged from Wednesday's emergency call claiming unity while frantically trying to shape Trump's thinking before the Putin summit. The EU diplomat Kaja Kallas warning that initial US-Russia deal contours focus only on territory and that the Ukrainians are very worried. Well, yeah, they should be worried, but this isn't really going to be what's going to happen there. I mean, they don't have enough time. They haven't got a real plan. This is not about Ukraine as much as it is about Ukraine.
Yeah, that's a great point. Listen, I read that today too, that European leaders were, quote, begging Donald Trump not to, quote, give away Ukraine. That's not happening.
Yeah,
And there's so much bluster around this, and you're going to see certain news stories and MSN. Apologies for the report announcement, everybody. Nothing but apologies. But there's so much bluster around what people think is going to happen, and that was taken out of context. What happened was all the EU leaders basically told Donald Trump in a quiet communique that we're not giving up in Ukraine. Doesn't matter what you project, what you say, what you and Putin think you're going to decide for the fate of
yeah,
Ukraine. The Ukrainian people are going to decide their fate, and we're going to line up behind them. We're going to fill their pockets with as much ammunition as we can, and that's never going to end. So there really was no begging. That was one of those stories that came out that's pure bullshit.
mm,
No one's begging anybody here. What's happening is an operation where, hey, let's make everybody think something. Let's make everybody fear us. Let's make everybody feel like we're going to carve up Ukraine, and it's just going to be this bullshit flattery tour. It's going to be exactly what we know it's going to be. It's going to be gaslighting and trolling about swapping lands, but yeah, listen, at the end of the day, the Ukrainian people and the country of Ukraine, they decide
yeah,
when and
sure.
how this ends.
But the American president is busy, playing footsie with the Russian president, while the Russian president is killing civilians in Ukraine. And this has been going on and getting worse and worse week by week. And he keeps threatening severe consequences. He keeps threatening sanctions. He keeps threatening all the stuff that never emerges against Vladimir Putin because we
Well,
know,
that's because he's playing this out. Listen, this is he's continually buying time for Putin.
yeah,
That's all
exactly.
this is. This is more buying of time. And I can tell you how and why he's buying time. Because on Friday, that was the 90-day deadline or 60-day deadline where
Yeah,
he was like, okay, I'm giving this guy like 60 days to do a ceasefire, if not sanctions. Well, you know, what's better than sanctions if there's no way you're ever going to release it? What's better than a ceasefire if you know there's no way to? It's a summit where you're
Yes.
talking about the ceasefire. It's like, and I was going to say this yesterday in our podcast,
Mm.
and I'll keep this brief, and then I'll let you move on to number three. But you know what con men do? Do you know what they do? They promise you the world, and then they string you along, and they
Mhm.
string you along, and they string you along until they get what they want, until the op is done, until
Yeah.
the con is over. This is just one big con.
Such a good point, Dean, because in fact, what they've done today is move the goalposts again. Now Trump is saying it's not this week's summit, it's the next meeting we have with Zelensky and Putin that really matters. Friday's meeting is just a little tete-a-tete on an Air Force base, It's just a
We're
little
having
meetup.
tea. We're
Yeah.
having a meeting to decide about the meeting.
Yeah, I just, we do that. We fly to Anchorage every once in a while to fly by each other to say, let's talk about the next meeting.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying now. So another extension for Putin to keep doing what he's doing. And it needs to stop. I mean, the American people are tired of the Ukrainians being killed by Russian forces. And this is a war criminal committing war crimes. And the American people should be standing up for the Ukrainian people. And it's time that the Senate pass the bill that authorizes the sanctions against Russia and those states that are buying oil from Russia. That is really the topic that should be everywhere on Friday as they have this meeting on the tarmac there, whatever it is. They should be talking about those sanctions and how they're going to be implementing those sanctions this is in the news agenda. That's what the Democrats should also be talking about, because this is ridiculous. You got 80 senators who are favored, who are sponsoring this particular legislation, and it's not getting passed. It's not even getting a vote. And that's, that's a clear indication that the Congress is behind Ukraine, and they should be moving on to that. The number, by the way, a great quote from Donald Tusk, who says, I have many fears and a lot of hope. Then he says, I guess everyone's afraid Putin will play Trump's ego again like he has in the past. I was like, yeah, it's pretty accurate.
He's got that right.
Yeah, he's got that right. Number three story is President Trump unveiled his first Kennedy Center Honors class on Wednesday. Sylvester Stallone, Kiss, and Gloria Gaynor while announcing he'll personally host the ceremony because it's the Trump show, and joking he deserves an honor himself, and he'll give himself that next year because he was personally involved, 98% involved in rejecting wokesters for this year's selections. I mean, Gene Simmons is a nice enough guy. He was an apprentice contestant.
No, Gene Simmons is a terrible person. I've interviewed him like 10 times. No. He's just a shit.
He has good makeup.
Yeah,
have you met him?
Great makeup. Oh, I've met him dozens of times. He's a terrible human being. He's a good interview if you get him on a good day, but he's an awful asshole. Gloria Gaynor. Has anybody heard from her in Hell On? No, but she's one of Trump's favorite. Listen, if you're
casino acts. It's casino acts.
It's all it is. It's casino acts. It's like washed up bands and himself.
Yeah.
Have you in your life, I read that today where he called it in a True Social tweet, the Trump/Kennedy Center Honors. This is stuff that was normally reserved for like literary giants, like game changers, real solid individuals with it. Gene Simmons. Can we go through Gene Simmons for a second, who in his book talked about how he's deflowered about 10,000 women? Can we talk about that?
I mean, it's an achievement as well. Don't.
Gloria Gaynor. Yeah, it's an achievement, but like it's not a great achievement.
It's not a lifetime achievement. It's a lifetime achievement, actually. But
it's not going to be on his Kennedy Center Award. It's like, congratulations to Jane. You did a great job deflowering 10,000 women. Yeah. Like, what has Gloria Gaynor accomplished for society? What has Kiss accomplished for society?
No, I mean, she had a big song. In the 80s or something. I don't know when it was. Yeah. It was I Will Survive. Is that her? Is that Gloria Gaynor?
I don't think so. I don't know. I don't care. This is like, you know what? Let me kind of put it in layman's terms, ways that people can understand. And then we can move on to story number two. This is as if the world's biggest loser, who was shunned his whole life, who had these little pitchy loves, has somehow has ascended to the highest office in the land, because this is true, highest office in the land. And he's taking everything that he ever loved, including himself the most, and he's rewarding everybody for things that he loved in the past.
Yeah.
Like It's
Like
truly,
Rambo. That's why he's
yeah.
giving Sylvester Stallone the award for Rambo. Because when he was a
Well,
kid, he
let's
got to see the great movie
yeah, because he
Rambo.
loved the movie Rocky and he
Yeah.
loved Rambo. And listen, I love Rocky. Rocky 2 might be one of my
Yeah.
favorite movies of all time.
Rocky's
Like,
amazing. Rocky is
oh,
like amazing, amazing
incredible.
filmmaking. Yeah.
But like Sylvester Stallone really hasn't done much for humanity, music, education, the advancement of
No, no,
society,
no, he hasn't.
like arts,
Yeah.
physics, like any major fucking discipline. Like I don't know what it
He's been a
is.
good friend of Donald Trump's throughout the years, and he
Well, this
supported
is what
Don.
he's doing.
Yes, so it's
Yes,
like
he's
a little
just
thank you to them. By the way, I have to
yeah,
correct you. It's not happening at the Kennedy Center. It's happening at the Melania Trump Center.
yeah.
It's being renamed because she is also has a lifetime of achievement and deserves to be.
Is she getting a lifetime achievement
No,
award,
no, but
or is he
she's
just
getting, and she's the
decided to
entire
name the
hall is
Kennedy Center
this,
after her?
yeah, named after her for doing
Listen,
nothing.
for everybody that's really jacked up over the Trump Kennedy Center, the Melania Trump Center,
Yeah,
which he wants to rename after a fucking like a real president. Um, just so you know, when the Nazis lost the war, everything got renamed. All the flags
yeah,
came down. I can't wait for that day. I
yeah.
cannot
No, it's
wait.
going
I'm
to
already
be.
looking forward to it. Yeah.
Tom Cruise was offered an award, and by the way, he couldn't make it. He said he had scheduling conflicts and was unable to attend, so he didn't get that. He's not going to get his lifetime achievement this year, and that's all the gossip I have for you about that. The number two story: more than 1/3 of Republicans disapprove of how Trump handled the Jeffrey Epstein files, according to a new Quinnipiac
Quinnipiac. Quinnipiac.
yeah,
You're
something like that
close,
poll,
buddy. You're close. Yeah.
revealing the first major crack in his base support, even as 90% still approve of his overall job performance, suggesting that Epstein connection remains Trump's most vulnerable political liability. That and redistricting are big news today. Well, we know this about Epstein. I mean, it's that one issue that has enlivened both sides. And I was watching a clip from Joe Rogan the other day, where he really comes down on Trump. Like, he really is like, this is bullshit for the right reasons. And he says the right things. So, yeah, someone's saying it's only 1/3. Yes, it's only 1/3. But what else has moved the dial down with 30%? This is the topic that has. So, he's still distracting us with a lot of other stuff, but the story's not going away.
No, and the Rogan turn, the Rogan heel turn from, guy that was just looking to figure out, if you could drink your own urine or eat enough ivermectin, could you get better at life? Like all that other
He
stuff.
did?
And yeah, well, I'm exaggerating on one hand and kind of putting it in the other. The Rogan thing's been interesting to watch because he's sort of ground zero for a bunch of really, self-interested mega males. Like he just is, right? And he's the king of certain pieces of disinformation, but he's also really curious. There's a clip of Rogan, recently on his show, and I'm not a Rogan guy, but he's really good at what he does. You give him credit for where credit's due. He's a great interviewer. He asks
Yeah.
great questions. He's a great conversation. And he touched on something that we touched on probably about a month ago. He's like, every time someone brings up Epstein, there's a new national emergency every time. And we talked about that,
Mm,
right? Oh, Epstein, bomb Iran. Like that was the
yeah,
first thing he did. He's like, oh,
right.
fuck, I guess we got to bomb Iran. Epstein, oh, fuck, let's take over DC.
Mm.
Epstein, oh, let's do something. Like it's
Let's have a
truly
summit. Yeah,
remarkable. Yeah, let's have a summit with Putin. Like
yeah,
you can set your clock to every single bad poll, terrible piece of news, information about Donald Trump being in the Epstein files. Another report out where there are certain victims who are Epstein victims who are going to come forward
yeah.
very soon, saying that they have seen Donald Trump in orgies with certain women, and some
Mm,
of the women that were in those orgies are also going to come forward and start talking about it. So expect yet another bombing, or yet another national emergency, or yet another takeover of a blue state or a blue city, because that is what
right.
he does.
The diversion's also going to run out, though. They don't have that many, and I think people are beginning to see that the plot. They're seeing what he's doing, and no one's buying his or Putin's shtick anymore. So it's
He's going to
it's
have to
all wearing
attempt to
thin.
shoot himself again.
Yeah, he's got time to shoot himself again. Let's move on to the final story on the news today. The top story is all about, you'll love this one. Is this the number one story? Yeah, I think we are. It has to be the number one story because of the time. As I'm pushing ahead here, America crossed the catastrophic 37 trillion debt threshold on August the 12th,
Well,
5 years ahead of the pre-pandemic projections. While a devastating Politico analysis revealed that Doge, remember Doge, is going to save us $3 trillion, saved just
absolutely.
1.4 billion. 1.4 billion, Elon Musk. Thank you very much. Less than 5% of the 52.8 billion Elon Musk's claimed that he had saved. It only landed up saving 1.4 billion. So the whole thing was just a joke, just a disaster, just a front for his takeover of the American system and turning it into a surveillance state. Well, that we knew. But now this tariffs that were meant to give us all this money into our that are flowing in, the trillions that are flowing in that he keeps talking about, not enough to offset the increase in the number of the budget that they've put through. So they've got all these increased costs that the Trump administration is busy spending, and all these tariffs that were meant to offset that. Not enough. It's just not
No,
enough. That's why
no.
we're seeing this massive increase in the deficit and the massive increase in the debt. It's kind of a shitty economy, Mr. Trump, and it doesn't look like it's getting any better.
Yesterday we were talking about him silencing BLS numbers,
Yeah,
him destroying, reporting, third-party reporting on healthcare, third-party reporting on pandemics,
truth,
third-party
basically.
reporting on weather, the truth.
Yeah,
Yeah, you just basically put a cap on the truth. Yeah, it's just more of that. Like this is to me, and everybody, including us, telegraphed this. This Doge thing is a front.
mhm,
This Doge thing is a promise that he's going to deliver something to Elon Musk, which is your data,
mhm.
and under the guise of reducing waste, fraud, and abuse. None of those things happen.
None.
And
Yeah,
and even the $1.4 billion in savings, that's not accurate. And it's also a lie. And even if it's true, that's offset by this Qatari jet that he has to retrofit that
oh
can't
yeah,
land at any airports in the United States of America. It's going to cost $1.5 billion to turn into Air Force One. Donald Trump is legitimately using U.S. taxpayer dollars and the budget of the United States and intentionally driving it to the fucking moon so he can do whatever he wants and enrich himself. This should not be news to people. If you're shocked that the United States government has surpassed the $37 trillion debt load in record time, 5 years ahead of schedule.
yeah.
If you're shocked that Doge only delivered 1.4 billion, that's just what they're saying they delivered. So they didn't because they always fucking lie because they don't want you to have the information. If you're shocked that that's all that's happened, you're dumb.
Yeah, look, it's going to be increasing by $1 trillion every 5 months. Every 5 months, America is going to be spending $1 trillion more in this debt. And this is really his point. I mean, he is trying to destroy America by driving the economy into the ground. He
Yep.
wants the debt to increase. He wants deficit to increase. That's why he's spending, I don't know how much money on flagpoles on the White House, ballrooms at the White House, this new fancy jet that he's going to get, all the gold paneling at the White House, because, the White House needs more gold paneling everywhere.
New
This guy is
marble.
just,
He's doing
yeah.
marble floors all throughout the White House.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just spending money like nobody's business. This is why, Christy Nome needs a new jet to fly around so she can do her whatever she does with these ice
Cosplay.
guys. Yeah.
Cosplay. Pretend
Yeah.
that she's
And then,
fighting.
and then she's got all the, they're building all these concentration camps at huge amounts of money, spending massive amount of money to hire white 18-year-old kids who've got nothing else to do with their lives to come and, be part of ICE with $15,000 signing bonuses so they can arrest people who are contributing to the economy and throw them into concentration camps or into other countries. And this is the good spending idea of this administration. And then here we are, $37 trillion. It is a disgrace that this is what they're doing. And I mean, the fact that Americans bought this, I mean, how could they? But let's say they bought it. Now, why are they still buying it? I mean, surely they can see that everything is just a con. Every single move that he's made has been a con, that he's just stealing the economy. He's stealing as much money for himself and he's wasting as much money as he possibly can to increase the deficit and the debt. So their children and their grandchildren are really saddled with a difficult life. And that's the
I
reality
could
of what's going
not
on.
have said it better myself.
Oh,
So
there you go.
could not have said it better myself.
Well, that's
Well
the end
done.
of the FiveStack. Brief as anything for today, but it was fun to see you. Thank you for being here, everybody. And thank you, Dean Blundell from deanblundell.substack.com. Essential reading every day. This guy is so plugged in, he can't even tell us where he is right now.
Yeah, I'm in Toronto now. I actually had to rip to Ottawa for a meeting this morning, and I literally changed my flight to get back here in time to do this. and I'm going to the Jays Cubs game tonight with Schmidt.
Oh,
Yeah. Steve Schmidt. Yeah,
that's
we're
going to be
going to the Jays
amazing.
Cubs. Yeah, we're ballpark friends. So I'm just literally going to walk out the door.
It's
I'm
right
going to
there.
sit. Yeah, it's right there, and then I'm going to go to the ball diamond and somehow get my computer bag home to my partner. So I have no idea.
It's a beautiful day for a ball game. It
Perfect.
really
It's a
is.
perfect day for a ball game, and it's a
Yeah.
perfect day to subscribe to the #2 rising news star on Substack, Zev Shalev, narrative.org. He is plugged in. He is also essential reading. Make sure you go and get a subscription, free or paid. Just share his content. The Greatest Heist series is maybe one of the most seminal reads on Substack right now. It connects all the dots, gives you all the context for what we're going through right now. So please go and become a paid subscriber to Zev's stuff, because Zev's one of those guys who puts so much work into it that you have to pay for it. And I will make sure, I will go to my grave making sure that people know how important you are to these conversations right now. So make sure you go become a paid sub to my friend Zev.
Thank you. And you've got a deal on your subscriptions, right? 50% for the month off for annual subscriptions. So that's a great deal. Take advantage of that. And speaking of Epstein, in exactly 1 minute, I'll be on with Vicky Ward, comparing notes about our different Epstein investigations. We're going to figure out exactly what concurs and what doesn't. Last time we did this was great because she had all these revelations, and it's going to be fun to see where we coincide. So I'm looking forward to that in just under a minute here on Substack Live.
Buddy, great to see you. Everybody, thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.
Enjoy the game.